When you get to a point where you study the past, you will always reach this specific side where you don't know whether you believe in something. I mean, how can I say? In a left or right. I'm not even talking about politics or a left opinion or a opinion directly pointed to the right side. And this happens quite often with association football. And in this case, regarding Domingos da Guia, it is impressive to a point where I, I'm not quite sure if I can explain. However, well, I'm gonna have to try. Domingos, I'm pretty sure I have talked about this a few weeks ago or a few months ago. I'm not quite sure. But Domingos da Guia, I I do remember that when I started researching associations football history, I had my own opinions regarding some players, and Domingos was one of them. However, today I have another opinion about this player. Here in Brazil, there's a tendency, as well as if I were born in England or in Spain, eventually we would say that Bob Charlton or Stanley Matthews were the best players of all time, or one of the best players, or I don't know, if we talk about Luis Suarez, or if we include Di Stefano respectively as a Spaniard, it's common to say that he was the best player of all time. Here in Brazil, we don't even consider Di Stefano as top 5 or even top 10. However, in Madrid, they do consider Di Stefano as top 5 or even top 3. There's this difference. In Brazil, just like I have recorded some audios before, we have a tendency to put our players above many others, and that's just okay. I mean, that's how things are that's how the press works. If I mean if I'm starting to research or read anything about old football, it's actually common sense to start with the mainstream, the main lines about the past. However, if I want to get to a point where I can be an amateur or a professional, I will have to learn with the newspapers, and that's and even with the newspapers, things get interesting regarding some players. And Domingos da Guia, just like Joji Orti or Alex James, he is the type of player that the past forgot. And the past forgot, I mean, not the past, but the 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 whole the whole glass, which gathers journalists, historians, players, and many other authorities, forgot about this player. when I started looking for information and knowledge, I thought that Domingos, he was another player who was overrated because of the fact that here in Brazil we have the tendency to put our players above others. But today, this audio will get to a point where it will get interesting. And I was talking to a friend about Domingos da Guia, and I would say that since the very first moment that FA was born to the start of the actually to the end of the Second World War, I'm starting to think that Domingos was the best fullback ever. I mean, not ever, but regarding this time, the best fullback produced, the best fullback who kicked a association football. And the fact is, getting directly to the point, there's no such a fullback as Domingos. Because, I mean, I used to I used to see this player as an overrated fullback, but now I see that he's probably top one, even above players in South America. For instance, BW, who was a genius, Nasasi, he played alongside Nasasi for Nacional, above, probably above Crompton, or even players back in the day, for instance, Arnold and, yeah, Nick Ross. How can I explain this? Well, it's quite difficult to do so because the reports are just amazing. Because uh, I haven't really updated the page which contains the comments about who thought player A was the best of all time, but there's quite a lot of data regarding Domingos, and many Brazilians actually had him above Friedenreich, Leônidas, Zizinho. Therefore, we can actually have a conclusion that he was no ordinary fullback. He was outstanding. That definitely for sure. Definitely. Definitely that's something that I cannot deny to this point. Regarding the third World Cup in France, well, this tournament, the Brazilian side is, I'm trying to find words to use. Well, let's get to the beginning. Regarding Leônidas, in an interview which he gave to Pepe Pepe Vilanghi, I believe it was his name, he said that the strongest side The strongest rank of the Brazilian side was the fullback line. However, Domingos was sick and he could not perform as well as he could against Poland. Then he got better and better, and if we take a look at Lealto or any other newspapers which covered the World Cup in France, we can see that he wasn't even regarded as the best Brazilian fullback. However, and I'm pretty sure, before I complete, I'm pretty sure he actually committed three fouls inside the area, therefore giving away three penalties. One, as you can see, I have published the penalty, the rugby tackle against, I'm pretty sure it's Wilimowski. Although he managed to make, he actually managed to fall three times inside the area, therefore giving away three penalties. It's quite interesting how Meazza regarded him as the best fullback he had seen. Piola said that Domingos was the best fullback he had seen. And Gabriel Hano, you can actually see this online, and I'm gonna post the link. I'm also gonna post the translated link, which is online on arfsh.com. That Hano regarded Domingos as the best fullback at the World Cup in France. And to be honest, I do not have a direct answer to this. I mean, if I could say something, it would be regarding his style of play, just like, I mean, as Kenatsi used to say, he used to look like a forward who was a fullback, and he had pinpoint tackle, he had interception, he could read the game very well. He had these domingadas, as we can say here in Brazil. Lucio also had this. Domingadas is basically when Domingos used to, I mean, have the ball controlled, and he used to make these slaloms, dribbling the forwards and even the fullbacks, and he passed to the right winger or to the inside forward. Lucio also used to do this. He had these runs. You can actually search for this. Lucio, the Brazilian fullback, the Brazilian defender, he used to do this. And because of his ability, his knowledge of the game, and many players, and if you actually manage to read the reports regarding the tournaments which Domingos used to play, for example, the Copa America or Campeonato Carioca, or even when he was playing alongside Nasasi, he actually the quotes regarding Domingos are actually outstanding, and I would say that if he was not equal to Nick Ross and Arnold, or even Bob Crompton, or even Nasasi. When I say if, I mean he was probably above. And Domingos was a player that I doubt. I highly doubt. Another player that I highly doubt was Orti. And as we say here in Brazil, eu quebrei a minha cara. The direct translation means I broke my face. I mean, I was wrong. Alex James was another player that I had a perception, but I was completely wrong. He is one of the best players of all time, and Domingos is one of the best players of all time. Probably the best, probably at least equal to these masters. But in my opinion, after everything that I saw and this mess regarding the World Cup, I know I mean I know almost every single step that he 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 made in the World Cup, but it's still awesome. It's still impressive to read articles saying that he was the number one fullback in the tournament, although he actually committed three penalties and he wasn't even close to his best level when Brazil faced Poland. And there's this episode against with Piola, which of course the referee gave a penalty, and even Domingo said consequently that yeah, the referee was right and it was a penalty, and this penalty actually eliminated Brazil. But isn't it isn't it quite interesting how if we gather every single information, the main journalists of the day said and confirmed that Domingos was the best fullback playing at the third World Cup. I mean, it's it's just it's just impressive, and it goes on. It definitely goes on, and I'm gonna be honest. It's the it's it's the only case that I don't even know what to believe, because I read the reports. I read many reports, even by Hanu and Eskenazi, Gamblin, Pefercor. However, they still managed to put Domingos as the best fullback. And Piola said he was the best fullback, although he he did what he did with Piola. Meazza did the same. Many others actually said that he was the best fullback. I'm not even talking about only by South Americans, and I'm not even saying that he was only 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 selected as a fullback. No, this player Domingos, he was selected as one of the best players of all time, if not the best player of all time, alongside players as Pedernera or even Pele. That's a lot. That's a lot. He has many other mentions. He has much more mentions if we can compare to Nasasi or Bidolio. And from what I read to this moment, he is probably the best fullback since FA was founded till the end of the Second World War, and that's a lot. That's a lot. Domingos here in Brazil, although we have this tendency of putting Brazilian players above others, but here in Brazil, we have no idea of who Domingos da Guia was. He was way better than his son, Ademir, and people probably don't even know about this. He was a master. He had everything. He was robust. He had speed. He had dribble. He could dribble a whole forward line and even half back line. He had tackle, interception. He could head the ball. He was a leader. He could clear every single ball. He was, I mean, as they said, he was a forward with the ability of a fullback. That's quite interesting. That's quite impressive. If we can compare with Nick also had that. He was more versatile, but he had more he had more attributes. He had more features. But I to this day I'm not sure if Nick was better than Domingos. Although I'm Brazilian, I'm not trying to be, I mean, to get this question to the side of my country. Actually, contrary to this, I used to believe that Domingos was I mean, not an invention of the mainstream of the or an invention regarding what historians or journalists used to say, but well, that's a very good surprise after all. And I consider Domingos in the same rank as of Alex James and Giorgio and Orti, as since the very first day that I started researching old football. These three are definitely the surprises that I had, because the level that these players reached is quite impressive. Domingos is definitely one of them. I mean, if I could rank him, I would say that he's top five best fullbacks of all time in general. Very impressive, outstanding.